I'm not going back without my dad.
If you insist on staying, then you will have to adapt. The question is, will you still want the same things when you have become a different animal altogether?
Hello, Vault Dwellers, Raiders, and Scavengers of the Wastes. Welcome to Reactive. Today, we are going to be diving into Fallout Episode 2. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and join the Hive. Enough talk, let's get started. We start off our journey with a Bill Nye the Science Guy episode gone wrong, as we see puppies covered in a rough black outer shell, looking like they just became Han Solo encased in carbonite. We notice a sign on the wall, instructing the scientists to incinerate any subject that is below 10 ounces. Trust me, we already hate these guys too. We notice that our scientist, who goes by Dr. Siggy Wilzig, is wearing a Pip-Boy, indicating that he might have came from a vault or worked for Vault-Tec at some point. After weighing our charcoal friend, Siggy realizes that he is slightly under 10 pounds. In a surprising bro move, he decides to lie about the weight and saves our carbonite-encased friend from a trip to the incinerator, branding him Subject CX-404 in the process. We cut ahead to find our canine friend is alive and well. He looks like he is going to be transported for an experiment, but is saved and scooped up by the nutty professor. He skulks away and passes through a security checkpoint, where we get a quick shot of a big green hand underneath a bed sheet. This big green hand is too small to be the Hulk, so my guess is this is most likely a super mutant, a human that was turned by being exposed by the FEV virus, which was introduced in Fallout 1. This also leads me to believe that this is possibly an Enclave base, given their connection to the virus in Fallout 2, and the scientist is, more likely than not, the target of the Brotherhood and bounty hunters alike. We get another time skip as Snoop Dogg fully matures and is becoming ever closer with his owner, seen giving commands, plus love and affection to their furry friend. When he's not playing with his friend, he seems to be going ham in the lab, messing around with a brightly covered vial. It seems very important, because it's not long before he injects it into his neck. So metal. After a quick nap, we notice another scientist enter the fold, questioning our boy as to why the vial is missing. He wants to pull the security alarm, and after a brief struggle, shoves him to the ground. Our dog, CX-404, doesn't take kindly to our owner being threatened, and goes full COD Black Ops killstreak mode, and straight murks him. That's one loyal pup. Realizing he's out of options, the dog and its owner try to escape the facility, and are met with a Sentry Gatling turret that is seemingly the worst aim in existence, and our duo somehow escape. Plot armor as thick as Fort Knox. We check back in with Lucy as she continues her trek through the wasteland. She decides to explore an abandoned house near the coast. She finds a family of spooky skeletons and their child, as well as some Vault-Tec-sponsored Plan D, which seems like some poison created to assist in suicide perhaps? Super eerie stuff. Night arrives, and showing off Lucy's inexperience and naivete when it comes to being on the surface, she tries to start a fire to rest, not realizing she has more than likely made herself into a big target. She wakes up to find a familiar furry face, Subject CX-404 from earlier in the episode. They quickly take down a creeping rad roach, as we then find Dr. Wilzig posted up in a chair staring blankly at Lucy, which is not creepy in the slightest. He talks about cockroaches, and how people joked about them surviving a nuclear blast, and how they thrived, making them a real threat to people being careless on the wasteland. He warns her that she should go home, how her world of rules and laws comes into direct conflict with the chaos and the survival of the fittest nature of the wasteland. He doesn't think that she has what it takes to survive, and she tells him that she isn't going back without her father. He tells her that, if this is her wish, she must adapt, and also questions her if she will want the same things, if she herself will change, alluding to the morally questionable decisions one must make if they're supposed to survive this barren wasteland. We cut to our boy Max as he is still en route to his mission with his knight Titus. In an attempt to establish a connection with his superior, he asks him a question about his power armor, and is not given an answer, but a command, as he tells the young squire to clean his crotch plate. Ouch.
I see you went with the tempered lining on the T60. Does that help with mobility?
Clean that.
A quick spit shine and some elbow grease later, Knight Titus laments he wants to shoot something, ignoring the mission at large, as he and his squire land in the middle of nowhere, miles from the town of Philly, which was their mission to begin with. After a quick smack in the head, which Max should be getting used to at this point, the duo land and begin the search for their target. We catch up with Wilzig and CX-404. The dog finds a human arm, and they hear a bellowing growl. Holy crap, I'm scared too. Max and Titus arrive at the doctor's resting place, more than likely after a quick exit. Titus and Max explore the cave, and Max notices bones and lots of radioactive barrels filled with waste. Titus instructs his squire to further investigate. A large mutated bear appears behind Titus and straight marks his machine gun. They get into a brief scrap, but the lack of effort from the knight is readily apparent. Then, in a poor display of Brotherhood of Steel values, runs away from the threat, leaving his unarmored squire in the dust. Max follows his scared and cowardly knight. The bear is mauling Titus, and he grows increasingly worried and afraid. Max finally gets a good shot after a brief bout of hesitation and critically strikes the bear in the head, neutralizing it. Knight Titus complains to his young squire, alluding to his incompetence and cowardice even more. Titus berates and insults Max and demands a stim pack, not shortly after blaming him for his injuries in the first place. Titus, in true bully fashion, tells Max what will happen because of his implied incompetence, a long, brutal execution. Max, having heard enough from the cowardly knight, reminds him of his duties and tells him he doesn't deserve the armor he wears. Sorry, Titus. It's not looking good for you, homie. We find Lucy approaching a man in his house with a weapon drawn. She's really taking the doctor's lessons to heart, huh?
Hi, hello, excuse me. Excuse me. Hi. May I approach?
I ain't got weapons.
Oh,
For money?
it's okay. I just want to ask you for directions.
Okay.
She begins talking with the man at his current passion project, a water filter filled with sand. Good luck with that, dude. Lucy, ever the rookie, decides to offer him some water, and he proceeds to tongue and chug the whole thing. Come on, Lucy, you're doing so well. He gives her directions to Philly and asks if she wants to be his wife. Lacking the charisma to pass the speech check, Lucy declines and begins her trek to the town of Philly. We see Max donning Knight Titus's armor. One can only assume, rest in peace, Titus. Max is not glooming over the death of his knight, however, and begins a mighty romp through the wasteland with his brand new toy. We see him toss boulders, kick rocks, destroy houses, and truly just marvel at the power he now currently holds, a far cry from how he felt in the interview with Elder Quintus. He notices a scuffle break out, and Max goes to apprehend the fighters. He saves the man being beat up, and is thanked for his efforts. The man is then shoved to the ground, but apologizes for what he did. But to be completely honest, he's entirely justified. He was literally trying to copulate with his chickens. I'm crying foul on this one. Lucy arrives at the outskirts of Philly, trying to introduce herself to people around her, with her plucky vault attitude, but is straight ignored. She continues her walk and finds a dilapidated and wretched street market filled with vendors. Anyone else getting Flint, Michigan vibes? After a short walk, she finally enters the city itself. The city looks pretty lawless, as people are walking out with weapons and getting into fights. We also see a shot of a Brahmin, a mutated two-headed cow made famous in all of the Fallout games. She notices a peculiar device in the window and goes to the shop to investigate. She notices some Vault-Tec memorabilia in the cases, which can mean the shop has potential to have a criminal history, as no one has access to Vault-Tec memorabilia except the vaults themselves. Potential raider loot, perhaps? She asks the shopkeeper June if she has seen someone in particular. June laughs as she realizes that Lucy is a genuine vault dweller, something that is shocking to see on the surface. Lucy brings up Moldaver, and June changes her tune. Look at me sounding like Dr. Seuss. She tells Lucy that everyone knows who Moldaver is, and tells her to leave, explaining to her of the trouble that awaits her if she sticks around. She explains that someone that looks like Lucy has no business being up here in the first place, to which Lucy explains that the mission of the people in the vaults should be important to everybody in the wasteland. June tells her what a lot of people on the surface are probably thinking. Anyone in the vaults is a spoiled Richie Rich that has no idea of the depravity and lawlessness of the surface. After a quick flipping of the bird, Lucy walks out of the store, with little to no answers. Wilzig and Snoop Dogg pull up to Philly and meet up with Lucy once again. He warns her, a second time, that it is not safe here and she should go home. She relents that everyone has been telling her that and no one knows her situation. Wilzig starts rattling off some facts in scary fashion, indicating to Lucy that he does indeed know of her situation, listing characteristics of her vault and what growing up there was like. Before June can get the doctor inside, we meet the ghoul, also known as Cooper Frickin' Howard, and he says that he's got a big bounty on his hands. And the man that is standing behind June looks awful like the picture we received from Huncho an episode prior. June relays to Cooper that she has been paid a hefty sum to transport the doctor out of Philly. Upon hearing this, Cooper wastes no time and shoots a part of his leg off. Ouch. After the initial blast, a gunfight breaks out, and in true Cooper fashion, just starts blasting everybody with brutal efficiency.
Damn, y'all ain't got me working up an appetite.
Lucy looks for clues for Moldaver's whereabouts inside of June's shop, and her gaze is met with the Vault-Tec mascot. Even though she is reluctant, the mascot inspires her to stand up for what's right, remembering her values that she was taught while in the vault. Before she steps outside and tries to defend June and the doctor, CX-404 lunges at Cooper and is met with a swift knife to the chest. Cooper, tired of Lucy's yapping, steps forward and is met with one of Lucy's darts from her gun. It is completely ineffective, but luckily, Maximus arrives in Philly in his trusty power armor. Max and Cooper start to brawl. June, Lucy, and Wilzig rush inside. They find a mechanical device that shreds the rest of what's left of his leg to replace his foot with a mechanical one. June explains to Lucy that with her wound, cannot transport the doctor, and she needs Lucy to finish the job. Lucy relents, but is reminded by June that if she wants to approach Moldaver, she will need something to bargain with, and the doctor will get her a seat at the table. Lucy finally agrees and gets the coordinates implanted into her Pip-Boy as they head off. Max and Cooper's fight comes to a close as Cooper knifes an important component in his armor, sending Max blasting off just like Team Rocket. Cooper picks up the dog from the ground and brings it inside. He gives it a stim pack and it's good as new, happy to be back on its feet. Cooper now finally has an animal sidekick. Sorry, chicken. Lucy and Dr. Wilzig find a crashed Chinese satellite and stop to seemingly rest. He tells Lucy that he will not make the trip as he has just taken a cyanide pill. She asks the doctor how she will bring him if he's dead, to which he replies she only needs his head, remembering the scene from earlier where he injects the vial below his ear. Makes a lot of sense. He states she must do this if she wants her dad back. She must begin to act like a surface dweller and adapt, much like their earlier conversation. He says he knew he could trust her, and even calls her Miss McLean, alluding to the mysteries of this doctor's past and the connection he has with Lucy's family and the vaults at large. She asks him how he knew her name, but he dies before he can answer her question. Convenient. With one final okie dokie,
Okie dokie.
she takes the chainsaw knife and begins going to work. They grow up so fast. After a quick fade to black, the famous song from Fallout 3's teaser trailer, I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire, plays in the background, and the credits roll. Thanks for watching today's episode. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and join the Hive. Thanks, everybody. Peace.